I'm Tanya E. Hood, a wife, a mother, and an entrepreneur. And now that you can hear me clearly, you can get a little more insight about what partly meaning is being an entrepreneur. You make some adjustments on the fly. You learn some lessons that you need to go through to build yourself into a better position. I went through that process, and I share that information in Red Alert Diaries, which is based on the life lessons from my premiere book. Red Alert, Is He the One? The pocket guide to finding the love of your life. Now, if you read my book, you already know that I got married at 21, and after 11 years of marriage, I found myself going through a divorce, having to raise my 2 sons alone. To reset my life and survive my divorce, I took the time I needed to get to know me better, which opened me up to new love again. So I want you to know that there is empowerment for you, there is encouragement for you, there is life after divorce. And the way that we get there is having phenomenal people like our special guest joining us today to share some insight to help us move into our next trajectory. Today, we're going to discover new powers within, unleashing a new behavior, and keeping your attitude in check. Mr. Michael Challenger is our special guest today to share with us some amazing information. He is a certified life coach, an author, a course evaluator, and is also the CEO and founder of Optimal Living Summit. It took Michael making a decision to face his deepest fears, which led him to transforming his life and making the adjustments that he needed from great leaders. And today, he's going to share some of that insight with you. So I want you all to take a moment, grab pen and paper. This is your time to make certain that you get what you need while we have these moments. Michael, I want to thank you so much for being here and joining us. Let me pause for a few moments so that people can see you, say hello, and you can get the opportunity to share a little bit more about yourself with us today.
Thank you so much, Tanya, for having me today, because, being in this room and actually sharing a space with you just, again, allows me to really share some of the experiences that I've had to really help transform my life and have the life that I seek and continue to manifest. And so for those of you who are listening today, this is the beauty about life after divorce, is really about reestablishing your sense of self-worth, self-love, and looking at what are the possibilities by just expanding yourself to move forward. Because let's be honest, in my own personal journey, when it comes down to relationships, I thought they were the one. And so in my own journey, thought this is my companion for life, and it didn't always turn out that way. We don't think about lack of commitment. We don't think about infidelity or extramarital, affairs. We don't think about getting married too young or substance abuse or domestic violence. These things take place in relationships that we can't plan for. And when we have to get ourselves out of these relationships, we have to reset and think about, how do I move forward with or without somebody? We all want to have a companion. We all want to have the beautiful life that everybody seeks, but sometimes it always doesn't go that way. And as Tanya mentioned in the beginning, she found happiness, but she had to go through her life experiences and understand what she was looking for to really be able to talk about what she is currently living. So, some of the accolades that she spoke about in the beginning about being a best-selling author, being an owner of a business, I didn't think at that time, I thought that I had to be in a relationship or have all that stuff figured out before I had the things that I had today. And that wasn't true. And so I had to really learn how to take the pain and connect it to my purpose, connect it to mission. And so in that, it was an incredible personal experience for me to constantly know what self-development looks like when we take full responsibility of self, right? It is so hard when we're in it, in the thick of it, but when we reflect and actually dive deep and really be and connect with the right people, it's amazing what can come out of it. So again, thank you so much for having me here today, Tanya. It gives me great pleasure to be able to really support the people moving forward. So I want to just dive deep, because we don't have a lot of time together. I want to talk about the 3 tips to regain control of your life and tackle your limiting beliefs. So the first thing that I want to discuss is changing your perspective with the power within. Okay. Some of these points that I want to talk about is the first point. So, like Tanya said, I hope that you guys have a pen and paper. I have a couple of questions for you. What stories, the first point, what stories have you told yourself that keep you limited in your thinking? What is the constant thing that you wake up in the morning and you tell yourself? Now, if we're talking about specifically in this group, do you think that you can't do a certain thing because that person that you were with was really good at it and you're not? How can you challenge yourselves to actually, have learned from that person in a relationship and develop that skill so you can take care of yourself? What have you told yourself that, are you telling yourself that you just don't deserve, the relationship, or think that you're worthy of this new relationship that you seek? What is this constant story that keeps you limited from your own success, right? Today is really about analyzing, us taking some time to assess what constantly is going on in the mind from not getting the results that you seek. The next point that I want to talk is, I don't know if again, depending if it's faith or whatnot, but there's a thing called universal laws, right? Which is connected to faith. What is some of the, these laws that I love and these stories that we continue to tell ourselves? One of the laws that it's really powerful is the law of impermanence, which means change. Things are constantly changing, right? What happened 10 seconds ago isn't going to happen in the next 10 seconds to come, right? So are we allowing ourselves to change our perspective? Are we challenging ourselves to make the changes that we need so that we can essentially win for ourselves? Whether you're with or without somebody, what's the work that you're doing to make sure that you're getting those results? And the last point that I love, one of the most powerful laws, is cause and effect. These causes that we make right now, that we actually decide, I'm going to choose this particular action today so that I can reap the effect. You may not get the results right away. You have to go along that journey and learn those life lessons to get to that finish line. And I can guarantee, even if you don't necessarily get what you planned in the beginning, you're going to get a good enough result to know how to move forward. The law, because it always shows up. It always, whatever cause you make today, you will see that effect at some point, right? It is extremely powerful. So that is really the 3 points. When I talk about changing our perspective, look at those 3 points and just reevaluate. Go back and learn how to just start this new step. Okay.
So let's pause really quick, Michael. That was great overview of what we're going to discuss. There's several people that are joining us live in the group, and I'm glad that you all are here. Now is the time for you to take the moments to ask the questions that you need. The reason we have special guests like Michael join us is so that you can have someone that can give you some insight that has been where you are now, have guidance that can show you how to get to the other side, so that when you are ready to move into your next trajectory, you have the skills that you need. So join us live on Zoom now so that you can ask him your questions in person. I'm checking the site as we go along, but it is so much better when you get the chance to speak for yourself and share your insight for yourself. So I wanted to take a quick moment there, let you know that we're getting a lot of love, we're getting a lot of likes. Glad that you are here sharing with us the points. I'm going to share them one more time for those of you that are getting a chance to see this at this moment. And then Michael's going to go right into his discussion point. Michael, take it over.
Absolutely. So thank you so much again, Tanya. So, the next point that I want to really address and talk to the group is unleash new behavior. And the reason why I chose unleash is because unleash really, it makes me think of the word bold. What are some of the bold steps that you can actually take now as you address and look back at the things that have happened in your life? What are these new steps that we can take? So the first step is looking at the conscious and the subconscious part of the brain. We don't have time to go into the whole thing, but for those of you who like the kind of the neuroscience about how this brain actually works, is that when we use the conscious part of the brain, there are these things that we've learned as we've grown up in life that we're told that we're supposed to do X, Y, and Z. And so as an adult, we make these conscious decisions. This is what I'm going to do. This is how I'm going to make money. This is how I'm going to choose my partner. But when we talk about the subconscious part of the brain, think of a blank canvas. And the subconscious part of the brain is it's waiting for you to tell it what to do. So if you tell yourself, I'm worthy of the relationship that I want, if you tell yourself that I am ugly, that I don't deserve to live the life that I want to lead, your subconscious brain will accept it. It will believe, and it will take everything that you tell it. It's unbelievable. And so when I actually started to tap into what the dialogue that I kept telling myself moving forward with the things that I've manifested in my life, when I started to really understand the power that we all have within, it's amazing. And when you connect it to faith, and I'll talk a little bit about that, and you fuse that, life becomes magical. I can promise you that. So start telling yourself in the subconscious, like again, understanding what the subconscious part of the brain, what that means or what it does. Whatever you tell it, it will believe it. The next point that I want to talk about is repeating one affirmation to yourself in the mirror every day. It's a simple step. When I'm coaching people, right? I coach people, groups of people twice a week. And when I talk to them, we always go back to these affirmations because these affirmations are so powerful. And some of you obviously may have heard of it, but how often do you use it? And so I encourage everybody that I speak to is to look at themselves in the mirror and to tell them one thing. One of the things that I tell myself is, I will have a successful day no matter what. That's an affirmation that I personally use. And so success for me doesn't mean that it always has to be, things positive. It means that my attitude towards what's happening will always be a successful attitude, right? I don't know what's going to come my way. It may not be that perfect day, but what does success look like? Success for me means moving forward. Success means about learning the lessons. Success means that I am growing from my experience so that I can actually, for whatever comes my way, know how to handle it moving forward. What affirmation can you give yourself to empower that subconscious part of the brain so that at some point you believe it? And the last point that I want to talk about is write down who you want to attract and become that person first. Let me tell you, when I heard that and understood what that meant, I'm going to repeat that point because it's a really important one. Write down who you want to attract and become that person first is massive. Because when you make a list of things, you're like, I want this, I want this, I want this, I want this. You need to challenge yourself. Look at those points, become those points. And when you become those points, I can guarantee you that person will find you. But you can't be, this is the thing about relationships, is being not in alignment, right? You're asking for somebody, who's potentially, he or she is up here and you're not doing the work. So how are you guys ever going to be in alignment, right? You have to do the work first. Can't stress it. You have to do the work first and your environment will eventually change. Self-development, I love it. I always have loved it. When you see something transform, whether that's a house, whether it's a makeover on television, or whether somebody's winning in life, whether it's an athlete getting to the finish line, I'm obsessed with it because it's a beautiful thing to observe and to see, because we all have the ability to do that. We just have to come back to this belief system. So those are the 3 points about really unleashing your behavior. It takes bold action to make it happen.
So I'm glad you're taking a quick moment to pause right there, because we do have a question that someone was asking. They want to know, how long will it take to overcome the pain? They love the advice that you're giving, but they're at a place right now where they need to get a little more of a concept of how to pull something together for themselves specifically to get to where they want to be.
So thank you so much for the question. I think that, when it comes down to pain, we never know how long it's going to actually take to heal. But we know that the one thing that we do know and that we can control is to start the journey towards healing. And so I know from my own personal life, and I like to talk about me because I understand me. I can, and I've heard plenty of stories about healing, but I want to reference my life is that, my journey, it took me personally a year to take responsibility about learning about new modalities that exist, asking questions, reading, reevaluating myself, all of the different things that I needed to do to really to overcome that pain. It took me about a year. But again, I've heard people take 5 years. I've heard people take 3 months. It really depends on what your situation looks like and how badly do you want to shift into your greatness. How much, that bold behavior that I'm talking about, are you ready to do what it takes to make that change? And I can guarantee if you are excited about change, if you're not holding on to the things that no longer work for you and you really want to make that shift, that pain will start to subside and you'll actually be grateful for the pain that you're going through right now. So I encourage you to really look at yourself and try and slow it down by reflecting, by getting into this place um, of journaling and learning about how your brain operates in certain pain situations and how do you get the support or the community to help you advance forward. So I hope that answers your question.
I love that answer. And I want to just add a little bit to that because it is different for every person. But here's something that I've discovered, and I created this methodology to help me get out of that situation. Depending on the depth of pain that you have for whatever that moment is, my grandmother used to tell me how long it took you to get in it is often how long it's going to take you to get out of it. But there is a methodology that I created when I was going through my reset moment after my divorce that I call the 3 C's. See, with the 3 C's, it gave me something concrete. See, I'm a natural, logical, analytical individual. I have to think through my process. I need things that are tangible. I am so grateful that I do have the opportunity to speak, like you were just saying, Michael, and to get the thought process and have the affirmations. But there's also something tangible that Tanya needs in order to know that I have made progress to move to where I want to be. The 3 C's are these, and if you have read my book, this is in chapter 6. For those of you that don't yet have Red Alert, Is He the One? You can always go to tanyaehood.com and get copies of the book. But in chapter 6, I wrote this because I needed it, because I had to reset myself to go through the patterns of getting whole in different levels. It's not that you don't go through a level of healing and you still have some moments where you revisit or feel some sadness for what was lost. It just means you have a different level that you are now ready to move into. So the first C is taking a look at clarity. Do you have true clarity about what's happening in your world at this time? Because once you have clarity, then you can move into the next C, getting certainty of connecting. There are some relationships that we can reconnect with, but it just has to be on a different level. It may not be what we thought it would be long term, but we have to make a determination of that relationship, taking the time to clarify it, connect with it, is in our best interests. Or you may need to actually close. There are some doors that you have to have closed in order for you to move into a direction where there's something new for you to get to. So you need clarity to decide if there's connection or closure. By developing that methodology, I was able to move myself into a space where I developed several strategies and actionable steps that I've shared earlier. That's what helped me go through the drama and the chaos from my divorce and gave me the opportunity to find love on the other side. So I've been in my new marriage about as long as I was in my old marriage. And I have gone through, even in this new relationship, other levels of healing from my past marriage so that it does not come back and have an adverse effect in my current marriage. So it's an ever going stage, but having the methodology gives you insight about how to move forward. And then those things that Michael shared, journaling it out. I journal all the time. Now, granted, my journal doesn't always look like it's a fancy little thing that people write. My journaling moment some days just may be the piece of paper or the napkin at the desk that I'm sitting at for that moment because I have to get it out. And as I've shared with many of you before, there are some things that only you and God need to know. So you write it and then you burn it. Y'all know my journey about getting the grill. People thought that I was a world famous barbecue artist. Nope, can't barbecue to save my soul. But I got a lot of stuff out to help clear my soul. So hopefully that helps you through your process. And so, with that, I'm thankful that you're here sharing this and you have gone through two of the basic points. Let's do a quick recap of what that is and then move into the third point. So, for those of you that are taking the time to see how to regain control of your life, you know about the power within, the new behavior, and then Michael's going to walk you through how to move through the next phase now.
Thank you so much, Tanya. You're so amazing. I love, so this last point that I want to, talk to you guys about is keeping your attitude in check. One of the most important points when we advance and actually show up in the world and ask for the things that we rightfully deserve. This is something that I'm always amazed by, because when I choose to show up in a room or in space and choose to be optimistic, instantly the results in my environment are different. People are attracted to positivity. People are attracted to people who want to solve problems and not stay in the dark. Right? They want to know, they want to learn. That's why you're here. We're all here because we're all seeking for new information, knowledge, so that we can actually feel and be happy and truly be the best version of ourselves. So the first point is really, I beg you to stop competing with your friends that your life is harder. When we get into this toxic conversation about, I hear what you're saying, but you know that my life is, and I hear that your relationship was, but you know what I'm going through? I understand. We all have difficulty. We all have moments where we need to let it out. I'm not saying that to express it, but staying there for months about how hard it was. At some point, we have to decide to move and take action. At some point, the conversation, it's not going anywhere. It's a spiraling effect going downward, and nothing's actually happening. So this competition that keeps going back and forth doesn't serve anybody. So please, my first step is try and use the information or the lessons and change the conversation with, you know what I've learned in this relationship? This is what I'm never going to, as Tanya mentioned as earlier, she knows now what she's learned in the past. She now can actually use it in her relationship moving forward. The second point too is stay in communities that uplift you and expand your mind. So congratulations for you for being in this actual group, because you're in the right place. You're in a place and space where you have leaders that are constantly giving you new knowledge to help you grow. And that's all we need, is really about alleviating and stepping away from the toxicity of oneself in the life that we sometimes get ourselves into, or and sometimes the toxicity that lies within, because we got to take responsibility for that. If we don't know how to fix the things that are going on within ourselves, it can still remain toxic. And so it goes deep. So it's not always the other person. Sometimes it's us. But that exchange and understanding what it is that we need to do, that's when we start to really have a different attitude and start getting better results. And the last point is advance with joy. Nothing is sexier to see somebody go, life is difficult. Life is, I didn't plan it to be this way, but I choose to be happy. I choose to be joyful. I choose to show up and actually do and be a good person, even though there are things that don't feel good right now. So those points, I trust and hope, are helpful for you in this stage of your life moving forward, when it comes down to regaining control of your life and being conscious about the decisions that you make and taking responsibility so that you can truly, truly get the results that you seek. So I'm very honored that I got a chance to look at amazing Tanya. I was able to really be here in this room. Thank you so much for having me today. It's a brief conversation, but I hope it's very helpful and that you all win for your own personal self.
Well, you are getting lots of love from the group. I'm so glad that you guys are here joining this evening. It is always better when you join the Zoom so that you can have the discussion and Tuskeen, I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly. She wants you to know, Claire, thank you for giving hope. Thanks, Michael, for the wonderful advice too, and helping us connect more with God. So I want you to know that you are already passing on the lessons and the blessings that I was hoping the group would receive. And I want to thank you for taking the time to be here and sharing this insight. For those of you that are part of the group that this is streaming to, and for those of you that are not, it's okay. You can always take the time to reach out to Michael. He's going to share a few more things with you because he has a special gift. Let me share this so that you can talk more about it.
Thank you so much again, Tanya. So, this is the beauty about being able to just start a conversation with, building new relationships. And I always love building new relationships and getting to know new people, new struggles, so that I always like to say we, I never say me, it's a we thing. We go through a journey, we go through a process together to really tackle some of the limiting beliefs and tackle the fears that come up. As you know, one of the things that I've done in my life is that I wrote a book called Don't Let Fear Paralyze You. And it became a, best-selling book. And I was able to really talk to people about their fears. And so this book has really been able to transform my life, but also help others really look at what keeps them stuck. And so in my process of coaching and what I do and what I work with people, you have the opportunity to download the No Fear Mini Success Workbook. Now, if you go to www.michaelchallenger.com, so it's michaelchallenger.com, and you click on the No Fear link at the top, you scroll down and you will see where you can actually get a free PDF of the Mini Success Workbook. That Mini Success Workbook entails 3 pages to get you in the right mindset. That's what it was built for that. And that's what I use as a way to it's a free offering, but it's also a gift of coaching that I'm able to use when working or speaking to people. So if you want to continue the journey, please reach out. We can talk about it, but use that. Even if you don't reach out, at least use the Success Workbook to start the journey to expand your mind to getting those results. You can also reach me on Instagram. And my Instagram actual platform has everything in my bio. You can go to michael.challenger and check that out. So I am very, very, very excited. And thank you, Tanya, for this as well. For this particular slide. So again, my book, it's on Amazon, Don't Let Fear Paralyze You, a guide to your own personal freedom. This is a book where you get involved in the conversation. It's not just me speaking at you. There's exercises for you to actually go through the actual process and to really work on yourself. It's exciting to work on yourself. It's exciting to figure out new things, the things that you didn't know that you can actually do or handle, and discover that within. Trust me, it is one of the best things that I've done for my own personal self of being able to write a book. It started with me looking at my own fears and actually realizing not only now that have I been able to really on a theoretics, journey, write this down. Now I get to share with others and help them do the same. So check out that book. Again, my website is michaelchallenger.com. You can follow me also with the company that we discussed in the beginning, Optimal Living Summit. You write that in and you can see some of the things that we cover. We do retreats. We do all kinds of services that help people transform in their life. So I thank you again for allowing me to share the information and be with you here, Tanya. You're a wonderful woman who has amazing things to offer, and everything that you've done today, I appreciate you, and I send you love and positivity always.
Appreciate it. But before we go, there is someone that wants us to ask or make a comment. They say it's very difficult to accept the fact that a person who once loved you now has no love for you. Very difficult to overcome this. Do you have any insight that you can share along the way to let them know that it's not really so much about them? It is often difficult when what you want to give is not reciprocated. But can you share how they can walk through this process moving forward?
it's always difficult to know that when you once had, again, the idea that this person was going to be with you, or what they told you at a point in their life, that they were, they promised you things, they told you they were the one for you, and then all of a sudden something shifted and their attitude changed and they're no longer there for you. And so to accept, that information is not easy. But what I love about that, it actually, again, challenges ourselves to look at, if I, no matter what, or the person that I choose to move forward, again, in my life, if there's somebody that comes into my life, I will be good with or without you. Okay. It's not easy. And again, companionship, we all want to find our best friend. We all want to be in the same room with somebody that loves us with with an unconditional love. Unconditional love is a beautiful thing, but it doesn't mean that what people promise you, that you're going to get that in the end. So it's really about learning how to train the mind to really be good with yourself first, before, when somebody tells you, now I have to go, that it doesn't necessarily pain you in the same way. And, I'm sorry to hear that, because it's unfortunate, because, I'm sure that this person now is leading a different life. And, if you're hearing anything about it, I'm sure it brings up emotional stress or pain. But remember that the most important relationship is self. I can't stress that enough. And it's these hard lessons that we have to learn. They're there for us to grow, and fundamentally, that's how I look at everything in life, is that it's an opportunity to expand. It's an opportunity for me to grow, even though in my mind I thought, but it was supposed to be this way. Unfortunately, as we know, we can't control anything. And we have to hold that in our life and to be accountable to that, to know that, to know that something may shift. And in that shift, how do you protect yourself? We always, at the end of the day, we don't have to go around trying to, being negative about it, but learning how to protect yourself from any given situation is key. So I hope that was helpful.
Well, I found it supportive. I know one of the things for me when I was going through my chaos at the time, someone shared with me that here's the thing that you have to be mindful of. And it sounds like it's a cliche now because it's used so often, but it's still a true statement. There are people that come into your life for a reason, a season, or a lifetime. It is your responsibility to know who they are, so that when you see them go through whatever that transition period is in your world, you're not surprised. Everybody can't always go where you are. And some people are with you for the level of you. Version 1, Tanya, can't have the type of friends that version 2, Tanya, existed. She wasn't mature enough to handle it. She wasn't capable enough to think through the process of how to be whole in the middle of it. So as you go through the phase of making the next changes and the next adjustments, just be mindful that the new version of you, that phenomenal chapter of who you are right now today, that person wasn't able to sustain or be around to support you to move into a direct direction that you can get into your better position. So I want you to know that often we mourn what we miss and often what we have never had. But you have to realize how amazing and phenomenal you are, and that your growth may have been the moment where they can't go any further because they aren't able to sustain you. They aren't able to support you. And they may not be able to be the ones that God needs in your life next in order for you to give the purpose that you were born to do. So hopefully this has been a session that has helped you all so much. Michael, thank you once again for all that you've shared, those key points. For those of you that have not had the opportunity to watch it live, it will be available in the events section. I'm going to set the recording up in there, but it is floating in the group, so share it with others that's in the group. It's only available for that moment there for you. And if you're interested in having some other conversations, you can always inbox me or the other admins to let us know if there's something specific that you're looking for us to give. We do everything that we can possibly do to help you get through the hurdles that we have already crossed. We know where you are, but we also know where you can go. and we have the path to help you get there. And I know for me especially, I want to walk you through some things to help you get into a better position. So I'm going to share the screen really quick before we close out. Michael, thank you so much for this. Appreciate you being here. And he is in the group for those of you that would like to have a quick conversation with him about what he has shared today. But if you're an individual that's looking to get some more support, there is a course that is offered called Navigating Life After Divorce that is available for you to get insight about how to build your firmer foundation. There are 3 key points that I bring up when I teach this course. It's knowing yourself, guarding your heart, and tearing down the walls. Because sometimes the walls that are closing us in were not built by us, but you still need to know the keys to unlock it so that you can get to your position of being whole. And so if you're interested in joining me for that session, you can join the wait list. Just email me at Tanya@tanyaehood.com, or you can send me a text called LIFE to 240-258-8727. We thank you so much for joining us today and look forward to sharing other Red Alert Diaries sessions with you in the future. In the meantime, this is Tanya E. Hood and Mr. Michael Challenger, sharing our insight with you and wishing you an amazing day. Take care, everyone.